Oops, hang on. There it goes. There it goes. What a Monday morning. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Woo! What a day. What a weekend. My gosh. Where to begin? Where to begin? You know what? We're going to start in college. Something that has been true in college football for a very long time. Something that has been normally a strength telltale of what's going on is the team that has home field advantage in a really big matchup will most of the time win. They will be able to get the extra boost needed to be able to pull out a victory. What happened over the weekend was so great for college football, but caused so many questions all at the same time. So the top 25 over the weekend You had Florida State on Friday night lost on the road at Virginia. Number 8 loses on the road to an unranked Virginia team, which, if you remember, I said watch out for Virginia. Then TCU, ranked 24, goes to Arizona State and loses to Arizona State in thrilling fashion, 27-24. Then you get to Saturday. And Saturday was so odd with how everything played out. So Ohio State does not look great. They do not trust Julian. Washington, they would have lost the game. But the first drive bothered me on a level I can't explain. Washington had 3 penalties. 2 penalties on the sideline. They got out to the 33-yard line on a gorgeous pass, 15-yard penalty, got a gain, then another 15-yard penalty, and they shot themselves in the foot at home after a huge 4th down goal line stop against the Buckeyes. And really, that's how the game ended up playing out. That game was 7-3 at halftime. It was 14-6 at the end of the third quarter. Do not believe that Ohio State is unbeatable. On the road, they don't trust Julian Sayin. They do not trust him. Very obvious, very conservative game plan, just not letting him make a mistake. Then you had the afternoon games start coming up, and these games all ended up being close. LSU could not figure out how to stop Ole Miss. I don't know why. But LSU could not stop Ole Miss, so number 4 LSU fell to number 13 Ole Miss. Then Alabama plays Georgia, and they beat Georgia 24-21 on the road in Athens. Georgia, honestly, the thing I'm more worried about is the fact that I was right about Gunnar Stockton. Neither one of those teams are elite. Neither one. No, Alabama is not elite at all. Not elite at all. But they got the W, and that was huge. But number 5 fell. Then Texas A&M struggled with Auburn immensely. Texas A&M only came out with a 16-10 victory. Number 16 over an unranked, number 9 over an unranked team at home wins 16-10. I mean, it was close. Then you had IU and Iowa. This game terrified the crap out of me. Kinnick Stadium, IU had lost consistently. That team is hard to beat at home. And it was close. It was tied. Finally, the Hoosiers break through with 1:28 left. They get the W. Number 11 beats an unranked team on the road. Iowa State crushed Arizona. They actually were comfortable. But then Tennessee goes to Mississippi State and needs overtime to beat them, 41-34. Georgia Tech plays Wake Forest, needs overtime, the number 16 team in the country, to beat Wake Forest, an unranked team, on the road. Vanderbilt handled Utah State. Missouri crushed UMass. Illinois, it was one of my picks. Hallelujah, I got this one right, or else this week would have been even worse. Illinois knocks off USC 34-32 on a game-winning field goal at the end of the game. I will say Mekhi Lemon, the junior receiver for USC, my gosh, I cannot wait for him to be in the NFL. His route running is really good, and I will say USC does need to be respected. That was a hard-fought game by both teams. I loved watching it. It was thrilling. Fox was there. The commentating was outstanding. Illinois fumbles twice at the goal line, which is really the only reason USC was still in the game. But it was a great game. I mean, it was an outstanding game. And then you had Notre Dame smoke Arkansas and basically get their coach fired to the point where Bobby Petrino is now taken over and has clean house of everybody. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with Arkansas. Sam Pittman gets fired. And the number 25 BYU had to come back to be able to beat Colorado 24-21 there in Boulder. And then you had the top 6 matchup. And what do I love about this matchup? So back in the day when it was Alabama versus LSU, and they were always ranked top 10 together, everybody always said the same thing. It really didn't matter who won or lost. It was about the game. Both teams were respected. Les Miles, Nick Saban. Both teams had pro NFL players on them. It was a battle of the best of the best. And that is what we got to witness in Happy Valley on Saturday night. That game, the way Drew Aller came back, proved to me why he is going to be a top 5 quarterback. Proved to me why he's going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL. It also proved why these are 2 of the top 3 teams in the Big Ten and will be year after year after year. Yeah, I picked Penn State to win. It was split down the middle of who was going to win. That is a big-time top 6 matchup in college football. It's the way it's supposed to be. I listened to a lot of people Saturday night dog on Penn State. They didn't dog on LSU when they lost to Alabama. Stop. Stop. Penn State and Oregon just gave you a great game. Penn State has given you a lot of great games. Stop dogging on the university and be happy for gosh darn great football. They're not getting blown out. Last year it took a bunch of goal line stands for Ohio State to beat them. This year it took double overtime. Drew Aller brought them back. The whiteout was electric. It was an outstanding football game. Penn State can play for a national champion. I'll put them against Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss. I'll put them against anybody right now. Penn State can play. They're a lot better than Ohio State. Ohio State's 2 big games. They've been conservative in protecting their gosh darn quarterback. Don't tell me Ohio State's better. They've had 2 conservative game plans. They beat Texas at home. They beat Washington on the road, which you do get credit for. But neither one of them they looked good in. Penn State's looked better than Ohio State all year. Oregon looks really good. And I won't be surprised if we end up seeing those 2 teams in the national or in the Big Ten championship again later in the year. Yeah, it's a tough loss for Penn State. I don't care. You have a matchup like that week 5. I'm not going away from a double overtime game. I'm not dogging either team at that point. No way. How can you dog either team when you get to watch great football? You saw NFL players everywhere. You've got defenders for Oregon, defenders for Penn State. Penn State's got, good gosh. Singleton is an absolute NFL running back. Allen is a bruiser. And Drew Aller controlled that team, ran 2 very good No huddle, hurry up offensive drives that ended up in touchdowns. He's an NFL quarterback. You got to watch a lot of guys that are going to be playing on Sunday in the next year or 2 years. And it was great football. Huge congratulations to Oregon. Dan Lanning, that's his first overtime game. Penn State's been in them. That's the first one for Oregon. So I'm rather impressed. It was a great game. It was an outstanding game. It ended up running really long because of the overtime, but I watched every single snap. And that's what I saw in the SEC for a lot of years. And it's what the Big Ten is now. That is the Big Ten. They have supplanted SEC as the better conference right now because those are the games you're getting consistently. LSU was outmatched by Ole Miss the whole game. It wasn't even close. Ole Miss had that game in hand. Alabama was up 24-7. Then they ended up winning 24-21. Like, the game wasn't even close in a couple of the SEC games. Penn State, Oregon, outstanding game. Man, was it exciting. And that was just Saturday. That was just Saturday. Now, you get to Sunday, and oh my gosh, number one, and we're starting with this for NFL Sunday, the Giants have a quarterback, and the Giants won a football game as a 6.5-point underdog. And they didn't even do a great job of protecting him. 13-20, 111 yards, 1 touchdown for Jackson Dart. He was sacked 5 times. He ran the ball 10 times for 54 yards and a touchdown. Let Jackson be Jackson. That is the key. Now, there is a huge fear if you're the New York Giants. We're waiting word today. Obviously, Tuesdays is the day we go over the injuries. They are awaiting word. They do fear that Malik Neighbors tore his ACL, which, if that's the case, is a huge blow to the New York Giants. Huge. Yeah. I really hope he didn't. But I tell you what, Justin Herbert and the Chargers, coming from that West Coast, Herbert wasn't good. He was sacked twice. He threw 2 interceptions. You know, the way that game played out was a gritty game by the Giants, but Jackson Dart wins his first start. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Teams that got off the O trail. So the Houston Texans blanked the Tennessee Titans 26-0. Unfortunately, that was the main game that was in my area. And I say unfortunately because of this. I am really frustrated with the Tennessee Titan staff. They just need to clean house. They're wasting what Cam Ward can do. He needs to be able to go under center. He needs to be able to have the ability with the run game behind him. There's just so much that should be there, and it's not good. I was frustrated. There were a couple of no calls, roughing the passer calls that should have been called on for him. And the Texans were able to kind of just play around and then eventually hit their stride a little bit later. C.J. Stroud was outrageously accurate yesterday, but their run game is still very suspect. And I think that is their Achilles heel as of right now. But, I mean, if you're Tennessee, you've got to protect Cam Ward. You've got to run the ball. And it's just not happening. And I will say it took a long time. I got to go through and do week 4. I have week 1, 2, and 3. Told you guys I was going to do this. We're going to keep track, and we're going to look at the data. If we don't look at it tomorrow, we will look at it on Wednesday. We're going to keep track. The team that has the most balance, how often do they win the game? I want real numbers. I went back through every single game, and I wrote it all out. Wrote everything out. How many pass attempts in the game, rushing attempts, and how many of those runs the quarterback did himself. All of it's in here. It was a lot of work, not going to lie. Trying to go back through and do 3 weeks worth of stuff, that took a little while. But I had college football to watch, so we were good. All right. Let's see here. So let's get to the big games. Now that we got off college football, so let's talk about the big ones. The Buccaneers and the Eagles, Ravens and Chiefs, Colts and Rams. And then we'll talk about the Packers-Cowboys too. The Buccaneer and the Eagle game, to me, really, how do I put this? They did it again. Philadelphia attempted 8 passes in the second half. Jalen Hurts completed none of them. The Philadelphia Eagles jumped out to a 24-6 lead by halftime. Saquon Barkley again was stuffed. 19 carries, 43 yards, and a touchdown. Averaged 2.3 yards a carry. Not good. Jalen Hurts ended up running the ball 9 times for 62 yards. On the other side, the Buccaneers averaged exactly 4 yards a carry. Receiving, they had 2 receivers go over 100 yards. One was the running back, and one of them, it was a long 72-yard reception, and then Emeka Egbuka with the 77-yard reception. It's not great. If you're Tampa Bay, you're really encouraged by how you fought. But you're not necessarily encouraged about the game. Right now, with no Mike Evans, Godwin comes back. Egbuka is easily the number 1 receiver right now. In fact, if I'm the Bucs, I have to keep Godwin because of the injuries that can happen to Egbuka or Mike Evans, so I've got to keep Godwin around. But I think what we saw is Tampa Bay's, their defense is going to be okay. They sacked Jalen Hurts twice. And they didn't do bad. What bothers me most for Tampa Bay and Philadelphia is this. Philadelphia they've got the luck meter going right now. They keep pulling out games they could lose, and they're not closing. I guess last week with the Rams it was a little bit different, but the Rams, unless they get the field goal blocked at the end of the game, without that they lose to the Rams last week. They couldn't close it out. Their defense did nothing on that final drive. In this game, they couldn't close it out. The defense allowed the Buccaneers to be back in this game. That's what worries me for Philly. For Buccaneers, I'm still worried about the offensive composition. I like the defensive line. I think they do have holes against a good passing team. Michael Penix did it to him week 1. I believe the Bucs still have holes against a good passing team, but you're not going to be able to run on the Buccaneers very easily. That is 100% true. They have built a stout run defense. And they held Barkley to 43 yards. Both of these teams have playoff aspirations, obviously. One's undefeated, lucked out the last 2 weeks. The other is dealing with a lot of injuries, including their quarterback. They're 3-1, and I think they just got to they need to tread water to be able to get where they need to be right now. The Bucs need to be healthy to compete against the Eagles, the Rams, the Lions, etc. Now, a game that I am now kicking myself over, because if you remember on Friday, I said I should probably pick the Chiefs over the Ravens. Something was telling me that defense being Swiss cheese was going to end up being a problem. It was. And on top of that, Lamar Jackson has a hamstring injury. We will wait to see the severity today. Obviously, we'll go over that tomorrow. One of these teams, either way, was going to be 1-3 when they left that building, and the other was going to be 500. The team that is 1-3, the Baltimore Ravens, I am very, very concerned about, especially if Lamar is out for a while. So let's not even go for a while. Let's say he's out for 2 games, okay? Let's say they're out for 2 games. The next 2 games are Texans and Rams. And there's a lot of people that are like, well, the Texans aren't. No. That defense has never not been good. It held the Rams to 14 points. DeMeco played a horrible defensive strategy against the Buccaneers, letting the Bucs drive down the field. They just played super soft and let everything happen. Dumbest thing in the world. I said that after that game. The Texans are all over them. And when you've got a defense as bad, the Chiefs were doing nothing. Nothing. And the Ravens just got run all over. Mabuke being out, their core defensive tackle, is huge. If Jackson is out for those 2 games, there is a very real possibility they are 1-5 heading into week number 7. And actually, the good news is week 7 is their bye. So at week 8, they then get the Bears, then the Dolphins, the Vikings. I'm not going to call it cupcake because that defense can do whatever it wants. And then you got the Browns. So honestly, at 1-5, they could still potentially get back to 9-8, 10-7, 9-8. But I tell you what, that defense is bad. That defense is really bad. The Steelers are now 3-1 after getting the win in Ireland. And all together right now, you're looking at this, and the Chiefs scored 37 points on the Ravens. Mahomes had 4 touchdown passes. He wasn't ultra efficient. He was 25 of 37, so not great, but not horrible either. He was only sacked 1 time. They strip sacked Lamar Jackson. Jackson was sacked 3 times. He was 14 of 20 with a touchdown and interception. Had 6 runs for 48 yards. The biggest takeaway was Andy Reid knew that the Chiefs could not leave that building 1-3, and the Ravens' defense is Swiss cheese. And maybe even worse, because the way that game played out was ugly. It was ugly. The Chiefs put themselves back in contention. Remember, we have an average of 4 new playoff teams a year. I did not think in a million years that the Ravens would potentially be one of the teams not making the playoffs. However, after yesterday and looking at the last couple weeks against the top opponents, you didn't close out Buffalo. You got smoked by Detroit. You got smoked by Kansas City. The only team you beat was Cleveland. That ain't good. That doesn't help your cause any. I'm very worried about the Ravens, and I am... Listen, John Harbaugh is an outstanding coach. Maybe it's time for a scenery change. Like they're an outstanding organization. He's an outstanding coach. But maybe it's just time. They spent a bunch of money on defense. They've got defensive pieces, but they're bad. How are they so bad? We're not used to seeing a Baltimore Raven defense that's just being shredded by everything. I don't know. I really don't know what the answer is. I'll tell you what, it doesn't look good. And that could be another playoff spot that gets opened up. Absolutely could. All right, Colts and Rams. I'm going to comment on this, and I'm going to keep it as simple as I can. The Rams are absolutely the better team. The Colts are currently playing with reckless abandon, which gives them an edge. But Adonai Mitchell, I never liked the draft pick. Hated that we drafted him. Don't like his attitude. Was worthless yesterday. Another fumble before the end zone. And save the game. Be very clear. The Colts would have won the game if not for Adonai Mitchell. And yes, I'm going to put it on one person. That fumble through the back of the end zone. And then the tackle. Wasn't a hold. It was a tackle of a defender on a Jonathan Taylor touchdown run that got called back because he tackled the guy. It wasn't even blocking. He literally had his top of his shoulder pads and tackled him. Adonai Mitchell should be in the doghouse. Bench him. Don't play him at all next week. Ashton Dulin is so much better anyway. It was a game of missed opportunities. The penalties were ridiculous later in the game, not going to lie. The field was littered with yellow a lot. So it wasn't a clean game. The Rams are definitely the better team. The Colts did get away with holding on, I was counting them, no less than 15 times. Their offensive line can't handle a pass rush. Verse was held, Young was held, Turner was held, Poona Ford was held. The offensive line is not good in pass protection. There were 15 holds on the Colts that were not called. That should have been. I mean, their arms are crossed, grabbing the other shoulder pad, and it's very clear. They aren't blocking, they're grabbing, they're holding, because they're not good enough. They are not good enough. And again, Jonathan Taylor gets stuffed in the run. They have to hold to be able to make the passing lanes. Daniel Jones has 2 picks. That secondary is a ball hawk secondary. The game plan was good. The game plan was decent. But the Rams, at the end of the day, just cool characters. Just cool characters came out with the win. All right. For all of you who went to bed last night and decided to not stay up and watch the rest of the Cowboy and Green Bay Packer game, you missed what was one of the dumbest games I have ever watched. This is the Cowboys have now scored 40 points at home twice this year, both in overtime. One was a W and one was a tie. The Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. Let's look at this from the Packers first, because this is what bothers me. They have a quarterback problem. I know. How? Did you not see the game? For those of you who didn't watch the game, let me explain what Jordan Love is doing. He is single-handedly keeping opponents in the game because of how he acts in the pocket. It's worrisome. It is worrisome. The way that the Green Bay Packers can dominate on so many different levels is huge. And last night it was a fluke of a Sunday night game. It was great. It's fantastic television. Very anticlimactic ending though, because Brandon McManus kicks a field goal with no time left in overtime to get a tie. It was really bad. And Jordan Love almost lost the game. Almost lost the game for the Green Bay Packers. Played around. After a second down play, okay? After a second down play, they took a bunch of time getting back to the line. The clock is running. And was just nonchalantly going through the motions. And he is lucky that the ball was incomplete with 1 second left so they could get the field goal off. LaFleur was not happy. He would have been a lot more unhappy if Love ended up Love wasted it. Love is not a quarterback that's going to help Green Bay win a Super Bowl. He will screw up every time. He is a deer in the headlights. He's been in the league for a long enough, and he's been in the system forever. There is no reason that he is the way he is. Don't tell me he's raw. That doesn't work now. He's been in the league too long. That doesn't work. The reality is, Jordan Love is going to be what holds this Packer team back. All the throws, everything else, this was against a Swiss cheese defense that Caleb Williams torched the week before. You better have a good week. But his arm motion, the fumbles, the way that he throws the ball, the way that he runs, he is really fast. He had a 25 run. I was like, holy cow, that guy's fast. But he doesn't manage the game outrageously well. Josh Jacobs had a rough night early, came on in the second half, ended with 2 touchdowns on 86 yards. George Pickens had a big game. Don't know why the Packer defense was so bad at covering, but nonetheless, he had 8 catches, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. The kick return defense for the Packers was garbage. Really was garbage. And the game ends in a tie. That's all I can say. The game ends in a tie. Packers are 2-1-1, and the Cowboys are 1-2-1. So, all right. We got other things we got to get to. Let's get to it. We got Major League Baseball playoffs that are starting. We got WNBA. We got one series that finished over the weekend. So we're going to open up with that. we are going to open up with that. So over the weekend, we had multiple games take place. Let's go back to the scores here. So on Friday, we had the series were tied 1-1 heading into Friday night. The Fever hosted the Aces, but the Aces basically controlled the game from the outset, and they beat the Fever 84-72, outscoring them by 9 points in the fourth quarter. The Minnesota Lynx went to Phoenix and once again fumbled the fourth quarter. They had a lead heading into the fourth, and the Mercury outscored them 21-9. 21-9 in the fourth quarter en route to an 84-76 victory. Then yesterday, on the brink of elimination, we had the Fever and the Lynx again, now down 2-1. Aces looking to close it out, Mercury looking to close it out. Well, the Aces could not. The Fever, once again, were resilient. It was an outstanding basketball game. 90-83. The Fever beat the Aces, forcing a Game 5. Winner moves on, loser goes home game Tuesday night in Las Vegas. Then the Lynx, again, fourth quarter, they are up big. And I mean big. The Lynx got outscored 31-13 by the Phoenix Mercury in the fourth quarter. Just the fourth quarter. They ended up losing 86-81. They had such a big lead. They lost the fourth quarter by 18 points and ended up losing the game by 5. That's it. 5. What in the world? Minnesota Lynx ended up absolutely flummoxing away a perfect opportunity. Home court advantage was theirs. They dropped it, and fourth quarters killed them. 86-81. The Phoenix Mercury are in the WNBA Finals, awaiting the winner of the Aces and the Fever tomorrow night, 9:30 on ESPN2. So that was the WNBA. Then we got to baseball. Oh my gosh, I love baseball. It gave us everything we needed. Teams were getting eliminated as the weekend was going on. Diamondbacks got pushed out. And then heading into Sunday, it was very simple. It was the Reds and the Mets for the National League wild card. The Tigers and the Guardians clinched a playoff berth on Saturday. The Astros are out. The Blue Jays and Yankees were going at it for the number one spot in the American League. So here we go. In the biggest day of the year, the biggest game of the year, the Mets got blanked 4-0 by the Marlins. Yes, the Marlins. The Marlins won the season series 7-6. They won 2 of 3 against the Mets to knock them down a peg and eliminate them from playoff contention. Eliminate. Out. Gone. Then on the other side, the Reds played the Brewers. Now, I picked the Brewers to win yesterday. I felt that Singer wasn't necessarily the right pitcher to go against the Brewers, and they did. The Brewers won 4-2, but because of how the tiebreakers work, the Reds make the playoffs, and the Mets are out. And they knew this heading into Sunday. Padres won, Guardians won, Cubs won. Dodgers had a big series against the Seattle Mariners, and now we're sitting in to the playoffs. And here we go. So this is what it looks like. We get another series. I love this. I do actually love this. The Tigers at the Guardians. The Guardians complete the comeback from 12 and a half down in July to win the division over the Detroit Tigers. The Guardians are home against the Tigers, and the Yankees are home against the Red Sox in the wild card best-of-3 series. The winner of the Tigers and Guardians will then go play the Mariners. The winner of the Yankees and Red Sox will then go play the Blue Jays. Now, I will say this. I do wish that Major League Baseball would adopt the same thing that the NFL does. A bracket reset after the wild card. You don't have as many games, so you can reset it once. The lowest seed should always be playing the number one seed. You're the number one seed. You earned that right. I've always believed that. I believe college football should do the same. The straight brackets, whatever. Okay. College basketball would be a lot harder with how the tournament is set up. The way their tournament's set up, there's such a wide array of teams. I don't worry about that. But in baseball, yeah, if the Reds beat the Dodgers somehow, the Brewers should be able to play the Reds and not have to play the Padres or the Cubs. So you've got winner of Red Sox Yankees plays the Blue Jays. Winner of Tigers Guardians plays the Mariners. Then on the other side, you got the winner of the Dodgers and Reds go and play the Philadelphia Phillies. And the winner of the Cubs and Padres go play the Brewers. Here is the current schedule. So from everything that I have seen, these games are going to be over like a 3-game series, but it's a 3-game series all at the home team's place. It never goes back to the road team. They don't go back anywhere. The wild card games are all at the higher seeds' home. So every game is at Cleveland, every game is at New York, every game is at the Dodgers, and at the Chicago Cubs. That is every single game. The Division League Series is then where it starts going back and forth, back and forth. 2 games home, 2 games away, but it's still a best of 5. The Championship Series is where it becomes a best of 7, and then obviously the World Series. So each one of these games are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. In fact, the Dodgers are at 9 o'clock every day. Cubs, 3 o'clock every day. Yankees, 6 o'clock every day. Guardians, Tigers, 1 o'clock every day. So there we go. Watch some baseball that's all on ESPN, exclusively on ESPN and ABC. The Cubs and Padres are actually on ABC. I want the Cubs to win. I'm not going to give an official prediction. I'm sorry. I'm more football and basketball with predictions. I want a Cubs and Mariners World Series. I really do. I really want a Cubs and Mariners World Series. I've liked the Mariners since, Ken Griffey Jr. years. They've really been bad. I mean, Felix Hernandez, one of my favorite pitchers. They got Cal Raleigh now. And I would love to see a Cubs and Mariners World Series. It's just what I would love to see. So, baseball playoffs. 3 games, middle of the week, guys. You got something to watch in the middle of the week all day long. ESPN, ABC. Check it out. Check it out. Okay. We have no injury news as of right now. Hallelujah. Because I'm looking at the main screen now. So let's just go through this. All right, here we go. Let's run down every game and let's close out this outstanding Monday. And we'll do a little bit of preview for tonight. The Seattle Seahawks on Thursday knocked off the Arizona Cardinals 23-20 in an absolutely huge game for the Seahawks to be able to continue controlling how their season is kind of playing out at this point, keeping everything in their own hands. The Pittsburgh Steelers win over the sea by intercepting Carson Wentz. He looked like Carl Wentz and not Carson Wentz. It was not great. Pittsburgh gets the W 24-21. It was a defensive battle. The defense for the Vikings is outstanding, but Wentz has to do a little bit better than than what they did against the Steelers. They should have won. Carson Wentz kind of really threw that one away. The Giants get their first W of the year, beating the Chargers at home 21-18. The Texans followed suit, getting their first W 26-0, shutting out the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward is absolutely frustrated. And this isn't good for Tennessee. But, again, ownership wanted this. They didn't want a head coach that knew what he was doing. They didn't want a head coach that could put them to shame in football knowledge. They fired their really good GM and revamped everything, and there was no reason for it. Ownership got scared. I feel bad for Titan fans. The roster isn't horrible. The head coach is garbage. Brian Callahan is garbage. How he handles games is garbage. And they don't have any coaching that's going to help them right now. I thought they'd be good Thanksgiving after. I can still be right, but Brian Callahan is that bad of a coach at this point. I'm not so sure. The Falcons had a huge game against the Commanders. I said it, with no Jaden Daniels, they were probably going to pull this one out. Penix had over 300 passing yards en route to a 34-27 victory for the Atlanta Falcons. It was a huge game for the Falcons. Great for them to get back on top of everything. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, both had absolutely huge games. And it's what the Falcons needed. That is what the Falcons needed after getting blown out the week before. The Buffalo Bills beat the Saints 31-19. That was another game just like the Dolphin game. They were just kind of toying with their food. The Bills were never going to lose, ever. Just kind of toying with their food on a Sunday afternoon, knowing they had everything basically in check. The Philadelphia Eagles knock off the Buccaneers 31-25 in a very big game for the Eagles, because that was, at the beginning of the year, one of the games that were circled as the tough games to begin the season. So it's a huge thing for them. They're now 4-0, still undefeated, along with Buffalo, moving forward. Detroit beats Cleveland 34-10. They absolutely pulled away in the second half, left the Browns in the dust. Don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback situation in Cleveland. We'll have to just kind of wait and see. The New England Patriots. This game was really odd. Boy, was this game odd. Because the Patriots only had 307 yards of offense, but they beat the Panthers 42-13. Yeah, you heard me right. 42-13. And it wasn't because of a bunch of turnovers. It was not because of a bunch of turnovers. They did have, however, 2 huge punt returns. They also had a punt return touchdown. And it really was an outstanding game by the Patriots all the way around. Special teams, offense, defense. Drake May only had 3 incompletions. The running game wasn't outstanding, but it got the job done. And the Patriots win 42-13, putting them at 500. The Panthers are now 1-3. The Jacksonville Jaguars. I said this on Friday. It was part of my picks. Right there. Got it. I said Jags would beat the 49ers. They are the number 1 takeaway team in the NFL. And guess what? They picked off Brock Purdy twice. They sacked him once. They forced fumbles of Brock Purdy and Luke Farrell. And the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the 49ers 26-21 on the road. This is a huge game. Huge game for Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, no interceptions. 21 of 31, 174 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Brian Thomas looked better. 5 catches on 7 targets, 49 yards. Travis Etienne, the Jacksonville offensive line has been opening up holes everywhere. Travis Etienne, 19 carries, 124 yards, and a touchdown. The San Francisco 49ers are in trouble. Defensively, Lawrence was not sacked. Lawrence was not sacked. And this is big. Jacksonville is a real team. They force turnovers. They lead the league in it. They're a real team. Do not sleep on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Kansas City Chiefs roast the Baltimore Ravens 37-20, making even more Swiss cheese of a defense that was already Swiss. The Rams beat the Colts due to mental fumbling errors by the Indianapolis Colts 27-20 in LA. The Bears have what Ben Johnson called a character win. A final second drive by Caleb Williams culminated in a 2-yard touchdown run by DeAndre Swift to get the victory on the road over the Raiders 25-24 in what was a really good game that nobody watched. Go back and watch some of the highlights. Ashton Jeanty. This is my issue. Geno Smith could be out really quick. And I'm not kidding you. Geno Smith could be out of here really fast. 14 of 21. 2 touchdowns. 3 interceptions. But listen, Ashton Jeanty, 21 carries, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 catches, 17 yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. This was 100% on Geno Smith again. He lost the game against the Chargers. He lost the game against the Bears again. Geno Smith is in trouble. Geno Smith is in a lot of trouble, and he should be. I didn't think he'd be this bad. I really didn't. I did not think he'd be this bad. But right now, he is absolute garbage. He has 6 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on the year. 7. I'm sorry. He's an experienced quarterback. That shouldn't be the case. Ashton Jeanty goes off and you just keep throwing the ball to the other team? Are you kidding me? The Bears couldn't run. This was all about Geno Smith. Max Crosby has got to be pissed off right now that he lost a football game where they hold the other team to less than 300 total yards of offense and you lose. That cannot happen. Cannot happen. And then the Sunday night game last night, Green Bay and Dallas, and then a tie. And that's basically how climactic that was last night. That's basically all there was. All right, 2 games tonight. One of them is in my picks. I have got the Jets tonight. Justin Fields is back. I think his skill set against a very lackluster Miami Dolphin defense is what's needed. I think Breece Hall runs. And I don't believe that the Dolphins have any juice whatsoever to be able to really outdo. I think, that Thursday night game against the Bills was a gut check game. They gave it everything, and the Bills still just kind of kept them at bay, like the older kid that's got his hand on top of the younger kid's head, just keeping him arm length away. It's basically how it went. And I think the Jets play really well tonight. Getting Justin Fields back, they've got confidence because they're close. They're just waiting to win it. One team will be winless after tonight, and one team will have 1 win on the season tonight. In the other game, you got the Broncos and the Bengals. Not even close. It's Broncos all the way. The Bengals are, without Joe Burrow, the Bengals are nothing. Without Joe Burrow, the Bengals are absolutely nothing. They're garbage, and offensive linemen are hurt. I think it's going to be a big night in Denver for the defense. I think the defense is going to be aggressive, and that's basically how tonight's going to play out. So My official pick is the Jets, obviously, but I'm definitely going Broncos. They're 7.5-point favorites, and I think it could get out of hand quick. All right. We will go over the injuries tomorrow. Hopefully there's not a bunch more that pop up. We had some pop up yesterday. We'll go over the injuries tomorrow. We'll see what's going to happen with all these guys, and we'll see how this season is going to end up playing out. But for now, let's take a 23-hour break. It's going to cool off where I'm at over the next 4 or 5 days. It was warm over the weekend again, but it better cool off by October because I like my October weather, and I want it back. So we'll see what happens. But, guys, have an absolutely fantastic rest of your Monday. Make it the best Monday that you can. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, as always. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. I deeply appreciate it. Make sure to comment down below on what was your favorite part of this outstanding college and NFL weekend. And then, hey, have some fun. Watch some games. I think the Jet-Miami game could be really close. I think it could be very exciting and very entertaining. So, absolutely watch that. I think the Bronco game could get out of hand in the first quarter. But, hey, we got one more night of football, and then tomorrow, we got baseball. We got baseball playoffs. So we got things to watch for the next couple of weeks. You guys have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. I will see you guys tomorrow. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. See you tomorrow, guys.